So let's read through it together, and then we'll back up and try to unpack some of the implications of what Paul is saying here about Christian eschatology and about the hope for the future. So Romans 8:18 says this, I consider that the sufferings of this present time are not worth comparing with the glory that is to be revealed to us. For the creation waits with eager longing for the revealing of the sons of God. For the creation was subjected to futility, not of its own will, but by the will of him who subjected it, in hope. Because the creation itself will be set free from its bondage to decay and obtain the glorious liberty of the children of God. We know that the whole creation has been groaning in travail together until now. And not only the creation, but we ourselves, who have the first fruits of the Spirit, groan inwardly as we wait for adoption as sons, the redemption of our bodies. All right, so there's the passage for today. Beautiful, poetic, and profound text. In order to understand what Paul's getting at here, there are a few points we want to make. First and foremost, once again, Paul is presupposing and employing the ancient Jewish distinction between two spheres of reality, two worlds, known as the old creation and the new creation, or in later Hebrew rabbinic language, this age, ha'olam hazeh, and the age to come, ha'olam haba, or this world and the world to come. And as I've mentioned before, whereas in other ancient Jewish writings, there was a kind of sequential understanding of these two worlds. You have the old world of sin and death, this world, the present age, that will one day come to an end, and then there'll be a new creation, a new world to follow it, the world to come. For Paul, those two spheres of reality are overlapping in Christ, and Christ himself is both the end of the old world that he put to death on the cross, and then the beginning of the new world that he brought to life in his resurrection from the dead. And so with that framework in mind, Paul here is using the language of ancient Jewish eschatology when he says this present time. That's a technical way of referring to the old creation. And when he says the glory to be revealed, that's a technical way of referring to the world to come, which is going to be a world of glory and life and resurrection. And so what Paul's saying here is, look, I know you're suffering right now, but you need to understand that the sufferings of the old creation, of this present world, are nothing compared to the glory of the world to come. And then he goes on to explain why. He says, because creation, and by creation here he means the whole created universe, waits with eager longing for the revealing of the sons of God. Now, the Greek word there for creation is katesis. It means all created things, right? The whole visible universe. And here Paul is personifying the universe as a person, right? Who's waiting for something to happen, right? He's not describing it as an inanimate collection of atoms and molecules, right? Inanimate matter. He's describing it and personifying it and saying all creation is waiting for the revealing of the sons of God. Now, the Greek word there for revealing is apokalypsis. We get the word apocalypse from that in English. So when you and I talk about the apocalypse, we probably refer to the cataclysmic end of the universe, right? That's what most people mean when they say apocalypse. And they usually mean something bad. But Paul here is using it positively because the Greek word apokalypsis literally means unveiling or revealing. So when Paul talks about the apocalypse, he's talking about the unveiling of the sons of God that will happen in the resurrection of the righteous on the last day. So he is referring to the end of the world, but it's something he's looking forward to. In fact, Paul's saying not only is he looking forward to the end of the world, but the world itself is looking forward to the end of the world because the world is waiting for the apocalypse of the sons of God, for the revelation of the righteous and for the resurrection of the righteous on the last day. And the reason the universe is looking forward to the end of the universe is because, according to Paul, at the end of the universe itself is going to actually have a share in the resurrection of the righteous on the last day. The cosmos itself is actually going to participate in the resurrection of humanity. Now that's a profound assertion on Paul's part to make, because I would venture to guess that many Christians, especially in the West, tend to think of salvation primarily in anthropocentric terms. In other words, human terms. We think primarily of the salvation of human souls and maybe of the resurrection of human bodies. But we don't tend to think of all of the universe as actually somehow sharing in the resurrection of the dead. But according to Paul, that's exactly what's going to happen. According to Paul, salvation, in other words, isn't just something for humanity. Salvation is something that involves the whole universe, the whole cosmos. And so he's saying that creation itself is going to be set free because creation itself was subjected to bondage, the bondage of decay. Now, what is that referring to? Well, here Paul is reflecting the ancient Jewish notion that when the first sin is committed by Adam and Eve in Genesis 2 and 3, it doesn't just affect them. It's not something that just affects their souls or even their bodies, but rather that the first sin affects the whole world. That all of creation becomes subject to decay and death because of the sin of man and woman. And because that's the case, Paul says conversely that all of creation will also be subject to life and be set free from decay in the glory of the resurrection on the last day.